That's weird, huh? The charger's on the other side. It's the same type of device, but just a little bit older than the previous one. I don't know if I want to disconnect all this stuff. Well, it's easy enough just to reconnect it. I just figured that I have this over here. Just have to move some stuff off this table. And go ahead and so initially planned to do that. And I do apologize. I may or may not get interrupted. And the way things have been around here lately, it may be not that long before I am, but maybe it will be. So I don't know what I hope at this point. I don't know what I hope because I just want to make sure that that didn't fall. Where's the charger cord? That may have fallen. I think this is it. Okay. Huh. Okay. Um, because yes, that it somewhat inspired this video. And so, the topic is um part of me does want to still do it over there. I think the volume would still pick up, but we're barely hitting the second volume dot at the moment, which is kind of odd. Um, but I don't think it rarely ever goes to the middle either. So I guess I'll do a tester. It would be curious to see how long this one keeps its battery. I mean, it should be new, but I mean, if it sat for a while, who knows, right? Um, hmm. Communication is another topic. Um, 7 hours ago, but that would have been through the night. So I guess it's true. I maybe should have been. I'm thinking of it in the terms of once somebody tunes in, but it could be after the fact too. You know, about kind of making the first, what was it, 5 or 10 minutes I had it set to as like extra intriguing because then I have it set so that I'm trying something new. And it was partly that which made me have to take 3 tries to get this to even work. And it was partly also clumsiness, I guess, and being out of practice, maybe. I don't know. Um, at the same time, there's been tons of times where I've had it set where anybody could comment as soon as they wanted to, and sometimes it's still slow. But so I apologize that the first 5 minutes may not. Sometimes it takes a bit of time for me to kind of settle in, and sometimes the ADHD is. And then as far as editing it, I find the feature finicky. Um, I'll try to, perhaps, but I always think that there's always something. Sometimes it's just a matter of a few seconds, which is even more finicky, kind of, sort of. And I figure, even if it's something that, yeah, I feel so about it, I at least feel good enough about it to keep it in. And things are somewhat busy. I couldn't just keep myself from being quiet at the moment. I just, because I'm dealing with. So yeah, sorry that the start was kind of slow, um, and that I don't know if it'll show afterwards, but yeah, uh, if you subscribe for more than 10 minutes, then you can come. And that's not meant to be a punishment or anything. I mean, hopefully it'll be worthwhile 10 minutes, and then you'll want to. Um, and that's kind of what I'm also wanting to test out is like if you've stayed around for 10 minutes, then obviously I'm doing something right, and you're appreciating this. So we're already a little past the halfway point. I am realizing though that I came up here. I don't even remember exactly. I think it was the podcast, but I've been I've had a lot on my mind, and I've just been maybe not operating at my best. This laptop is quite clunky. Speaking of clunky laptops, somebody was the other day to us, our neighbor, I think. And so, but I want to come down and get a water and possibly, uh, um, yeah, just a moment here. But no, I'm going to do this primarily upstairs, although not on the desk, I don't think, because anything shows here. Put this man. Not on the desk, I don't think, because or the one desk because the seat is not great on my back, and I already have a bit of a sore back, so it's more comfortable, and it's not moving it very far. Although I did just do this, but now we're back in business, so to speak. Pardon the lingo, the phrase. I can't believe I kept that all there the whole time and wasn't feeling cramped, but now I feel like I should have been, so I'm going to put it here. So, okay, so we got somebody tuned in. Hopefully, that's one thing I would change about the setting if I was you know made the rules is if somebody tuned in soon as they click subscribe. I don't know. I know I said what I said before, and I still kind of feel that. But as soon as they click subscribe, then they can comment. That blurb probably does show too, which I don't think I can. I don't think I can change it now that I've said it either. Maybe I can. Just a moment. I don't want to be distracted by this though. That's weird. It says there's approved users and there's three of them, and I'm surprised there's not more. And I also don't really recognize any other names, so that's kind of odd. Translate correct. You can redirect to make content. Um, I guess like I say, I mean, because for anybody that doesn't know, this channel was active for a while, then it was dormant for a while, then it black words. Then it became kind of a shared channel between two people in the house here, and it became active again. And I don't like this mouse pad as much. I think it's just because it's stiffer, or it's harder to. It requires a harder press than the older device, which kind of makes sense, I guess. Um, anyway, I tried to find it, I couldn't, and nobody's here to know that I tried for them. I tried for them. So all I can do is, you know, make my best content and hope that they appreciate it. And unfortunately, I forgot what I was saying for it. I'm not gonna go back down now. So I know I need to be saving my voice for something, but I'm just going to talk for a few minutes at least on something, and we'll see how this goes. What I might do, sometimes I'll read comments out loud, but what I might do is just read them to myself as a moment to rest my voice, because I have one, possibly two other phone calls today, and I've actually been in a couple already, and that's more than I'm used to, and it's only just after 10 in the morning. So, um, one thing I will say, it could be fairly, most likely, is if somebody clicks in it's probably because the title intrigued them. So um, I do want to jump into that. And why don't I do so? Even though nobody's here right now, which is really, especially when they're here and they're staying here and then they decide to comment, that's when it really feels worth it. But again, people can view afterwards. People that have already subscribed, you know, will be notified. And, sure they can skip ahead, but they might not want to wait, super long for things to get into it. So, and like I say, ironically, that's kind of what the title is about. I forget what the first word was I put, but I think it was waiting or anticipation, which is essentially, waiting in anticipation, right? And then rumination, and maybe right from this, near the top here, I don't think it needs clarifying, to be quite honest. Mm. But maybe I will clarify. Um, the other part means, um, I figure where it's less, least distracting. That might not be bad. The other part means, um, sorry, like I say, it's just been hectic around here, and uh, oh, I was going to just quickly check, and I guess I was doing it on this device, and then was I? Well, it's the only other device I have up here right now, and why is it not coming on? Did it die? I didn't think it was low. I'm turning it back on, and we'll see. But if it did, I'll charge it in the other room. I think this is working. Yeah, I'm getting it to the second dot every now and then. I feel like I'm talking a bit loud, but yeah, this has to be plugged in, so I'm just going to go plug it in. Has it been unplugged that long? You have to use it to That's really hard. Yeah, you do. Oh, no, come on. That sucks, but okay. From the necklace picture and hopefully and from thing about instruments to high pitch sounds. Cool. Okay, so what I meant, 14 mark, is I mean, I think if we all sat and thought, sometimes not very long, sometimes longer, I think we would all think that yes, we have, experienced um people, I don't know, let me talk to the toilet, who make life difficult. They don't, perhaps for themselves too, but for others. They don't seem to understand, whether they think they do or not, treat others the way you'd wish to be treated. They can be impulsive, they can be, I hate to say it, uptight, but sometimes for good reason, sometimes not. And I don't really want to be too particular in this video, but I am thinking of a couple of examples. One is simply an example of when people don't read. And it's bad when it's something to do with the job they have and performing the job. And they seem, I'm going through something right now, trying to get involved in a program. And there's a number of the people at this agency who seem out to lunch. I don't really care if it's uh, a different department. It's the same agency. You should know. It's just been kind of odd. Anywho, I mean, I try and be nice, try and be kind, I try to, be myself. Um, I suppose they are as well. But the one I'm thinking more of It was an instance of, let's just say, in the not YouTube based, but let's just say in the matter of reporting things. And it was something very mild, and it was actually something that played out just fine. One thing I might say to this person about this thing is, it's gonna be an interruption either way. I would not handle the situation very well, I don't feel like. I do my best, but and so really it's probably better if somebody else did anyway. We have to look at, okay, meant to be. Let it, you know. Anywho, um, I don't want to be too specific because you never know who's gonna see these things. But I hope that even being vague, whether somebody sees this and thinks they know me and know what I'm talking about or not, you know, I hope that that message comes across. You know, we all are just trying to get through this life. Some people have more struggles, it's true. And I don't know, it's just better when you're a decent person and you're understanding and you're empathetic and you forgive. And, I will say that forgiveness is, of course, a very hard thing sometimes. I understand that. Um, Now, the topic of anticipation, rumination, and the like is something that I'm somewhat used to, but I feel like there's more of it happening in my life at this point in time. And it is kind of unsettling. Um, you know, or it's stressful, it's overwhelming. Um, I almost forgot to bring this phone. I'm just going downstairs. Right, I remember what I'm getting now. Um, which is something else that I'll be plugged in soon. And again, I plugged that and got it to, well, I got it to 80% because it was, I think we had woke up, but we're still in bed and I plugged it in for a while. But another reason I'm deciding to do this, by the way, is that although it looks like they are back active on their page, there's a couple people, a couple people that I'm kind of familiar with. I mean, there's a few people I've been meeting, since doing these live streams, but there's a couple specifically that I'm kind of familiar with that I'm especially hoping to see. And somebody just tuned in, so welcome. Now, I do apologize about the setting of having to view for 10 minutes before subscribing. I I thought it was a good idea. Then I kind of wanted to undo it and couldn't figure out how. And the viewer left because they're like, no, it's a terrible idea, actually. Well, why would YouTube have it as an option? There's got to be some sense in it, I would think. So I don't know. Anywho, yeah. So again, I was a little bit slow to kind of hop into this, but here we are. Um, that is fake. So I can't believe I almost forgot to say something quite important in email. So I'm glad I remembered. Um, so yes, like I say, I applied a setting I can't figure out how to undo it. I kind of want to, but you know what? Meant to be. Hopefully, and the view of that. Well, I am kind of watching that for something important. So, um, let me get some pretty bit of work. So, um, it's hard. It's hard. You start to feel like you're not in control of things, which we all want from time to time. You know, even people who are laid back and free spirited like myself, we all want to feel like we have a grasp on what's what how things are going to go, and a clear picture. And then when we get that clear picture, we want to, we want to um, validate it. Is that the word? We want to. Um, I think I do prefer it over here. We want to solidify it. We want to see it happen, right? And yeah. So I mean, I was briefly distracted there by an example of something where there's still an element of waiting, but that aspect of it was actually pretty quick. So um I don't know if I should be specific as to what I'm waiting for. Part of me thinks it matters, part of me thinks it doesn't. It does to me, but it's also in a general sense. Um so that's why I'm leaving that call. So um before I do that though, I just want to quickly say, and it feels a little bit what's the word? Well, uncertain, I guess, could be one of them. I suppose I didn't turn this slide out earlier. Um, I don't mean for it to sound presumptive. I just know that there are some people out there who um, aren't maybe the best at. Again, this is not to sound accusatory. If it doesn't apply to you, it doesn't apply to you. If you don't think it does, it probably doesn't, but it may. And if you're not sure, there's a part of me that thinks it's more likely that it does. And sit with this and let me know what you think about it. And before I forget what even is, I better say it. Basically, we can all think, and I wish somebody was there to hear that introduction to that, but after the fact, we'll have to do. We can all think that here's the thing, we all make judgments and opinions on anybody that we come in contact with, or sometimes simply just observe. We all do. And we may be right, we may be wrong. But the point of the matter is that a lot of people don't like to be wrong. A lot of people, um, a lot of people have a base thought, go with it, and sometimes react in a way that isn't accurate, right, favorable, or and that they may not otherwise if they like I say it's been a while since I've been on here, kind of getting used to doing it again. That they if they may not otherwise if they I was gonna say yeah, slow down a little is one truth, I mean, we live in a very fast-paced world. It's the truth. Um, you know? Um, and also the putting yourself in someone else's shoes. And I'm pretty good at it, I feel, although some people do make it hard, don't they? Um, and it's kind of like the person that just left. But you know what? Not that it's necessarily a bad habit. It's kind of amusing to laugh it off sometimes, even if it's not entirely funny. And you know, it's yes, there is analytic statistics, but they maybe aren't specific in the way that I am when I notice things and say things. But anyway, um, I'm thinking of an example. Maybe I'll just say it. I had to call about something. People probably are thinking if they know me that, or if they think it's me, then they probably think it's me, right? Um, but I mean, it's a big world on YouTube, but that's the thing. It's also a small world, and on the internet in general. Um, but where, well, she asked, right at the top if it was me, and she said because it was caller ID, which is weird because I was calling from this phone. I know I was because it's all I got available to me at the moment, and um, it shouldn't have come through as my name. But I guess if the system has our number saved in it and they've saved it as my name, then maybe. Anywho, and I don't know. They just asked first. I mean, I said a few. There was a few things said, and then they said, "Yeah, it's just so and so." Anywho, and and we were going along, jumping into the call, and um, and basically, then I should have stayed on the phone with her. But then I wouldn't have thought, oh, I need to send it to this other device first. So I'm just sharing an actual experience that kind of connects to the topic. But the person left at 28 mark. Um, right back. Looks like Mickey Mouse. I mean, Minnie Mouse. Right. No, not Mickey Mouse. Well, see, I'm already back. See how quick that was. um, Anywho, and I had to fill something out first. And we almost kept each other on the phone, but then I guess I did sound like I was having difficulty opening it on my device. Um, but it wouldn't have taken me more than as it didn't after I hung up 2 or 3 minutes to figure out what I did, how I did want to do it, and then no, there was only so many characters. And I didn't write a lot anyway. And then um, that was just turning the fan on. Um, well, I would have had to stop thinking my answers. So no, it really did make sense to I mean I could have done it on the spot, but then depending on how they may have the reaction may have sounded on the phone. I mean, I don't think it would have been bad, but I don't know. It was better that way. But now I can't reach. And she said they had call display, like I said. So and it's something. It's not. I don't think it's personal. I really don't. It's something that it's a very busy thing, and so and people are wanting to kind of get themselves organized with the upcoming thing as soon as they can, so that they can plan around it, and so that they know, as much as they can beforehand. And so, um, I really should check to make sure that this is recording. I think it is. I'm pretty sure it is. Um, but yeah, basically, I mean, I guess yeah, true. 32 minutes in is a funny time to check, but there actually hasn't even been that much viewage at the top. I think there's been a couple people, a couple times, or one person twice, maybe. I don't know. Not for very long though. I don't know why it doesn't show this live stream at the top when I search it, but it doesn't. No, I just saw it. Okay, go back, please. But yeah, so like this is an example. I could be wrong. They could be thinking he's calling a lot. Well, that was before I touched base with anybody. Yes, I left a voicemail, but like I say, I'm trying to coordinate this in ways. And but then what stopped me is remembering that she said they do have caller ID. So they're calling back then. For all I know, not only is she looking at the answer to the thing, which wouldn't take super long, but I didn't know if it's submitted, and I still don't. That's the thing. Okay, now this is being wonky. Um, can and again, I'm sorry about the setting that I selected. I don't know how to undo it, but welcome here. Um, I hope that it seems like you can hear me since you've been here for a couple minutes now. And but then you left, so maybe not. um, and it's being really annoying, this device. And the other one is probably not that charged yet. And the other ones are downstairs. We just replaced the device, so we have old ones that kind of still work. If you're wondering why there sounds like there's so many, that's basically why. Well, it's really elongated. See, I'm opening it, but it's being very slow to start. But it's not being slow to record. The device is not being wonky. Almost want to reload it, but the way this thing's being, oh, now it says I'm offline. Well, that would be why it's being so slow. I wasn't. But then again, I haven't used this a lot this morning. Okay, here we go. Okay, I'm just doing a sound check. I do apologize again. Sorry if you've heard me say this already, if you were here earlier, but for the setting that I applied, I kind of wish I could undo it, but I don't know how. But hopefully, you'll feel that. Yeah. Okay, so that's really all I was checking. So now, well, I even said in the call though, I did say, I just want to get this. Well, I mean, I did mention that I have an out of town friend coming. So I think that it should be obvious then that I meant as well that, I want them to get a heads up on my schedule, you know? So I need to know it as far as in a couple weeks. I didn't say it that way quite, but I think that's how it came across. I don't know, but I'm also not entirely sure if it's submitted. Okay, we do have somebody just tune in. At least, you ever notice when you dial a number and you have to press other numbers um, in a menu, and then when you go back to that number, it's including those numbers too. So you essentially just have to redial the number. Anyway, feel free to put in the comments your thoughts on the title. I'm not trying to be vague, but that was bizarre. It didn't do anything, and it's not touchy to voice. This is also accidentals too, because it didn't know. Wait, try again. Hi there. I'm calling to